Neeraj Sharma sir has also requesting to move out. So I will request Nikita to please honor him.
इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर इंडस्ट्री में इनके जैसे विचारक बहुत कम मिलते हैं. It's a great exception actually.
Principal consultant of aspiring people, a consulting firm providing consultancy services, executive coaching, assessment centers, leadership management development across. Before setting up her consulting firm, she has worked for more than 3 decades, envisioning and implementing business-linked HR and management initiatives across industries like manufacturing, power, electronics, communication, services, etc. She holds a PhD postgraduate degree in social sciences from Delhi University, postgraduate diploma in training and development from ISTD, and postgraduate diploma in public relations from Bharatiya Vidya Bhavan. Ma'am has been a votary of the concept of corporates after recruiting, going back to the and giving the reverse feedback to the training placement officers, so that feedback loop can be completed. Next time that inputs can be taken up by the academic process, the discussion which was being there with Manish that time, entire feedback loop will be created by that. So without losing any further time, I would request Hindu ma'am to just enlighten all of us.
Thank you, Raghav, for the nice introduction. Just one correction. I don't do placement. Except placement, I do all other aspects of consulting. I don't get placement. My job is very, very easy now because most of the points have already been covered. I'll be very, very crisp and very focused, and we spoke in the morning that in the morning session lots of issues were raised and where are the solutions. I'll try to focus on solutions as much as possible from my own narrating my experiences in between. Just to recapitulate, there are a few issues which we captured since morning. We are in a very, very paradoxical situation in India. We have a huge base of young people. It's a strategic demographic advantage we have. So we have a large population of young people. We have a huge number of engineering institutes and management institutes. We have so many lakhs of people highly qualified, and on the other hand, corporates are not finding the right, employable people. So there are people, there are institutions, and there are companies who can provide jobs, but there are certain gaps so that the three are not able to come to the same platform. So this is a paradoxical situation. Some gaps will remain, some gaps can be filled up. Our institutions are creating white collar engineers. This was also a point which was discussed, and the engineers who are qualifying, their preference for jobs is in the metros, and more so not only in the metros. When I was in industry until a few months back, I've been in the HR head position for almost 2 decades. I recall vividly 20 years I spent in the manufacturing industry, engineering industries. I recall vividly lots of engineers, youngsters, first job, they would say, "Ma'am, can you please place me in the corporate office? You are engineer, the factories are beyond Delhi, outside Delhi. How can I place you in Delhi head office? What are you going to do there? So ma'am, please give me a place in head office." So people are not willing to go outside Delhi or outside metro cities. Not only that, they are not willing to work in the factories and soil their hands. Then there are issues that clarity in the mind of promoters, when they are promoters of engineering institutes, when they are setting up the institutes, what is their vision? Beyond making money, what they are going to do? And these are, no offense to anybody, these are generic issues. I am just recapitulating. Everybody is not like that. There are bright spots, there are islands of excellence as well, and there are situations where we have issues also. What kind of companies you are going to place your engineers, what kind of careers you are going to give them, what kind of inputs you are going to provide them when they are with you for 4 years. So some more clarity is required in the mind of the, and what kind of development programs you are having. I'll just touch upon, I'll elaborate these points a little later. Then what kind of inputs you are giving to your faculty. In the corporates, we have whole lot of training programs running for managers and executives throughout the year, because companies feel your people are doing some job today, you have to prepare them for tomorrow's roles as well. So innovation, change, evolution is happening in every field. Accordingly, evolution is happening in teaching methodologies as well. So new technologies are coming up. How your faculty is going to cope up with that innovation? So what is it that the institutes are doing for developing their own faculty to orient them for tomorrow's technologies, tomorrow's job scenarios, tomorrow's kind of students which you are going to produce? And then how these faculties are imparting the skill, the technical knowledge as well as the personality based knowledge. What kind of experimentation facilities the engineering institutes are providing, and what kind of closer partnership the engineering institutes are having with industry. In the morning session, people were coming from large companies, large corporates. This session is dedicated to MSMEs. I'll talk with reference to this session only. See, first thing we said, white collar engineers. I'll just illustrate, give you one. I have whole lot of experiences, but I'll just give you one illustration. Though being a non-engineer and being an HRD, but I somehow basically I came from the science field and I understood a lot about shop floor processes and production processes, and I ended up being a faculty for TQM 5 days module, and I used to run in the factories. And this is a company called Gabriel India which is producing shockers. And when Tata's, that time the company was Telco, Tata Motors. When Telco launched Indica, we had to produce the task of developing shockers for Indica was given to us, and we were doing it in our Indore factory, Devas factory. The shocker of Indica, that rim which comes out, that rod which comes out, this little longer than the normal other car models which we were producing. And our factory had about installed capacity of 2500 to 2700 shockers per shift. But when Indica was introduced, there was one particular operation where you fit that extending rod with the main body of the shocker. That fitment in the machine was such that it was not happening, and the machine was not ready to take that not ready to produce that longer size shocker. So that operation had to be done manually, and in the shift about only 200 shockers could be produced. So 2500 pieces per shift capacity came down to 200. And we had an R&D center in Pune where we had process related R&D and product related R&D, and director technical engineers and whole lot of people visited 3-4 months. Engineers kept on struggling. They could not do anything. Then once I was running one of the TQM programs, and 3-4 boys after the program came, madam, you please tell the plant manager we would like to take up this challenge. हम कुछ करेंगे, हमको थोड़ा सा पैसा दिला दो, हमको permission दिला दो, हमको overtime भी मत दो. We will stay beyond our shift and we want to do something, just let us work. And we allowed them the freedom. They took 3 months and some fabrication, something that we had to do from outside. They made some crude design which was further refined by the engineers. Not that the engineers were not required, but the idea was generated by a group of 3 workers. They made a crude design which was developed by engineers. Then they went to the people who are making the dies and those jigs and fixtures. With the help of these workers, jigs and fixtures were developed. Some fixtures were chained in those machines, and whenever that Indica line was to be run in that particular machine at that workstation, they would change the fixture, and then productivity of the shift came to 2500 pieces. If the workers can think like that, why can't the engineers think like that? And it's not the fault of the education institutions alone that they are producing white collar engineers. We in the companies, the kind of culture we have, work culture we have, they're also managers or engineering managers, people having manager title but they are fundamentally engineers. They are also shying away from soiling their hands at the shop floor. It's a general question of an attitude, a mindset, and the way we think. So when and there are n number of examples through my training programs. I could workers came up with so many good things, but the engineers could not think of. Day in and day out they are visiting the shop floor, but they could not do it. So that is another area. Mindset, dealing with the mindset through the education process per se, and also the family. Here I would like to bring out one point. There are 4 stakeholders in this whole process. First is the students. We'll talk about this later because everybody is giving inputs to the students. Then is the parents. Then are the educational institutions or the teachers, and then is the industry who are the employers. Students are getting molded the way we are molding them. The other 3 stakeholders are molding them. Society, it's not a blame game. I am just trying to narrate the situation in a holistic manner. Society is made up of all of them. Look at my situation. I have grown up children. I am the same person. I am a parent at home. At home, what do? I put my children under pressure when they are growing up from school. You must find admission in IIT, this I am IIT, this college, this stream, that stream, I'm putting them under pressure. Okay, when they are graduating out of the engineering college, I have taken so much of loan from the bank, you must find a job in top-notch companies, you must have a high package so that I can repay the loan, you must do this, and we are creating a lot of stress in the mind of youngsters. We are not letting them bloom as parents. And on the other hand, we are also spoiling them, 1 or 2 child no. So we are going out of the way, indulging, pampering the children, giving them facilities and other things beyond their means so that they don't learn sharing, soiling their hands, doing things with themselves, and then when they are in the industry, we as managers beat them up for team building and team management courses. So I as a parent, I am spoiling that end product, which is the child. Then it comes to the educational institutions, the faculty. What are we doing there to mold these youngsters who are the future of the country, the future of the industry? All of us know, the gentleman before me, Mr. Sharma was talking about, Dr. Sharma was talking about, psychology, and he's the psychologist and all. We have left brain and we have right brain. Left brain is a logical thinking brain, analytical brain, thinking brain, data based. Right brain is intuitive based, intuitive brain, right? So the entire education system is forcing the child to use the left brain only. Data, facts, figures, analytical thinking, analyzing, and those skills. With the result, the intuitive brain, the creative brain, the innovative brain, the brain which is the superconscious, the 3 aspects of personality, subconscious, conscious, and superconscious. We are neither getting in touch with our subconscious, where a whole lot of latent potential is there, and we are neither getting in touch with the superconscious, through which the innovative solutions come up. Unless both the parts of the brain are developed, holistic personality will not get developed. Children will not be having a well-rounded personality. They will be oriented towards left brain only, not the right brain. Whereas real life situation comes from the software, which is the software of personality. Hardware is the body, and the software is the right brain thinking. So our faculty is not fully equipped. Through the educational institutions, we are giving them the technical knowledge, but we are not helping the youngsters to bloom their latent potential. We are not helping them to really see their own innate potential and bring it out. Our faculty is not fully equipped to impart life skills to the students. I am talking of a larger platform. In the morning session, and various speakers spoke about morals, values, soft skills, this, that. I am including all that and saying how to deal with life per se. I have been interviewing students, and the focus is, I want to become general manager in 5 years' time. I want to get so much of salary in 7 years' time. But what are you going to learn in those 5 or 7 years? Where is your focus? The focus is at the wrong place. Money will come. If that, that thing, खुद ही को कर बुलंद इतना कि हर तकदीर से पहले खुदा बंदे से खुद पूछे बता तेरी रजा क्या है. खुद ही को बुलंद करने के लिए what I am going to give them. If they develop innate potential in them, placement will happen. It will already, it will happen. So what are we, innovations are taking place in every field. What are we doing to reorient the minds of faculty, to come up with innovative methods of teaching, to come up with, to upgrade or evolve the pedagogy, and also giving them ready-made solutions or giving them scientific skills and engineering skills and talking in those scientific terms is one thing. Teaching is one thing. Helping the students to learn, giving them the engineering theorem, and then forcing their mind to think and then come up with the answers to those theorems. How many teachers are teaching that? Many are doing that, but many are not doing that. Teaching methodologies, what are we doing? Are we giving ready-made solutions to students, or we are helping the students, or we are assisting the students, coaching the students, guiding and mentoring the students to come and find out that? I'll give another real life example. This is regarding the personality development. Now comes in the next point which I want to say is, lot of engineering institutes and MBA institutes are having personality development courses, and I've interacted with a large number of the trainers also. These courses are being run at a very, very superficial level. Your grooming, what kind of dress you wear, how you groom your hair, how you talk, how you eat, very, very superficial level. What is deep down inside you? What are you going to do that? And I'll give you 2 illustrations of the real life, 2-3 illustrations of the real life situation. I'll go back, way back 16, 17 years. Somebody called me, Madam, placement season is coming, why don't you come and talk and run a program of about an hour or so, interview skills, prepare my students for the interview skills. And thereafter came the trend of running personality development courses. I said to the gentleman, he was known to me, I said, sir, I'm sorry, I don't have the ready-made pills, I don't have vitamin tablets that I give your students in 1 hour's time. I give them a lecture on interview skills and they get through all placements. I can't do that. I'll have to have 3-4 sessions with them, and I need to talk to them. And I told him, don't bind me with time. Your session is for 1 hour. Don't bind me with time. You can put it on a Saturday, you can put it on a Sunday if you're seriously interested to take my inputs. Let the session run for 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours, as long as the discussion is lively, it is meaningful, students are interested, they are participating, and I am able to hold their interest. And I feel that they are not mentally tired, they are absorbing what I am telling them. And in that college, I had on 3 Sundays, 3 sessions, each session almost lasting for about 3 hours. So that I talk to them and put them in touch with their subconscious and also in their superconscious. Zindagi se chahte kya ho? Karna kya chahte ho? What do you want? So instead of running a very, very superficial personality development programs, the personality development programs per se need to be remodeled. Another example I give you, when I just set up my consultancy, couple of people called me who I used to visit once in a while for a guest lecture, because I was invited by the colleges to talk to the students as a guest lecturer. So couple of those colleges, they called me, Madam, that now you've started your own consultancy, will you help us? I said, sir, tell me. I am running MC stream, I am running engineering stream, and I am running MBA stream in my college, and personality development programs are very superficial. I want solid inputs to go. So can you help us? I said, I'll do that. I said, you give me the curriculum what you are having now, I'll redesign it, come back to you. I took his program and almost for more than a week did a lot of thinking and studying, and then based on my own inputs, I redesigned the whole thing. Again, I said, you will have to reorient each session. It has to be based on workshop mode, and it has to be based on experiential learning mode, and there have to be real life experiences. And I'll start with the vision of the students. Zindagi se chahte kya? What is your vision of your life? What kind of life, what kind of career you want to have? And I'll raise a whole lot of questions, and I'll make them answer their own questions and do some soul searching, and that is how I will carry. And it was a complete program. And then this gentleman shied away, did not implement that, because he was not willing to invest so much time and money on that. I said, you can't be paying me what you're paying to the others. Somebody in the morning was, I'm not talking of greed, I'm just saying you have to really give value. If you're taking a valuable input, somebody in the morning was talking about what is the remuneration which you are paying to the faculty. So if you're calling people who are just simple graduates, who have just left BPOs and 3-4 years of experience, and they are running faculty personality development programs for your engineering students, what kind of inputs will they give? Unless they really have some real life experience. So if you are going to have real experienced faculty, something you have to do it. And he shied away. He was not willing to reorient his program, and he was not willing to relook at the whole thing. And another person from an engineering institute, he called me and he said, there are a whole lot of SMEs around Delhi, and this is a sector having huge potential and nobody is helping them. I want to do something, and can you suggest me what can be done? And there are NSIC, DC, and government is having a whole lot of bodies for SMEs, and some of the bodies are doing really good work in the last 20 years, 15 years. A lot of things after liberalizations have happened. And I designed a concept of, a center of excellence for SMEs, and it was minimum money spending. I understand financial considerations, but what you can give, you have an auditorium, you have faculty from various fields, you have managements, you have engineering institutes. You can just have, maybe once in 15 days, 2-hour session for the promoters of the SMEs who are around your college. Some inputs, and then some, I'm giving very micro suggestions. And that is how I designed a whole lot of programs. But he shied away from doing that. So we were talking, the point I'm trying to illustrate is, we were talking in the morning between closer partnership, closer interaction between industry and educational institutions. Everything need not be done at a macro level. We can do things at a micro level. Almost 45% of GDP is through the SMEs, MSMEs, and there's a huge potential. People gave data in the morning. Out of 8 lakhs engineers, only 2.5 lakhs are being absorbed by the large companies. Small companies also have a lot of potential. if engineering institutions can have closer interaction with the MSMEs around in their vicinity. MSMEs also are producing engineering things. They are grappling a lot of grappling with a lot of problems. You pick up real life projects from MSMEs. Whatever your labs are, technology is very vast. Today technology is very vast. I am not saying that you have state of the art labs. Whatever kind of labs you have, upgrade them a bit and have some kind of specialized in the sense, if you are running a mechanical stream, little more focus on the mechanical side. If you are having electrical stream, little more focus on the electrical side. One or two areas of technology you pick up, there you can have experimentation facilities little more than the other streams. Pick up real life projects, partner with the MSMEs, send your students for their summer training and all those things, and let them work on that, and call these MSMEs promoters and their engineers, and sort out their real life issues. Your students and your faculty can give fantastic inputs, and then once this kind of MSMEs which is closer to you, they interact with your students, they will definitely pick up. It was rightly said that, so you said that they are running through the technicians and all that, and most of them are running through diploma engineers and all that, because they are also afraid of dealing with the degree engineers. They feel they are white collar jobs and very highly professional, demanding, they will not soil their hands and all that. In case the interaction between MSME promoters and the engineering students starts at the college level itself, and these engineering graduates, they start working on their live projects, their live issues during their course, these people will also, that fear of appointing graduate engineers will go away. And we need not look at large companies like NTPC and BHEL and OL and Airports Authority and huge setups for all these issues. No, small sector can do wonders. And then these boys, they are very well rounded boys, and I have picked up a whole lot of engineers from MSMEs. They are more well rounded because they deal with horizontally, they deal with a range of issues, whereas in larger companies they are compartmentalized. Again, I have spoken about faculty development programs. This has to be very thoroughly done. Reorienting the faculty has to be totally done. One more thing I will just say, again, it was very rightly raised by the TPOs that there is a lot of pressure on you. The promoters would just say how much is your placement record and all that and all that. You are being put under pressure. If your product of the college is good, if the product is really good, then placement will occur. I'll just give real life examples again. When I set up my own consultancy, I got calls within 1 month from 4 people who happen to know me professionally. They said, "Madam, that you have now started consultancy, why don't you associate with us? You can do some training, but then you can, since you have worked more than 30 years in the corporate world, so you can help to place our students. You help us in their placements, and you can do some training also." I said, "I'm sorry, I will do training of your faculty as well as your students. Placement I don't guarantee. I don't want to get into that. If your students are employable, if your focus changes, your students are employable, placement will happen as it is. But somehow that people shied away because the focus is there." Then another solution I'll say, Raghav, the suggestion to you, this is a very good start, and I must compliment you and your team for putting this together. Some such programs where faculty and the promoters of engineering institutes are also called in, so that then once the reorientation of the mind starts there, then things will change. And then if possible, though it's a long drawn order, one such forum for the parents, because parents are the ones, they put pressure on the TPOs, on the institutes. मेरे बच्चे को तनख्वाह कितने की मिलेगी, जब 4 साल यहाँ लगाएगा तो कितने की उसको नौकरी मिल जाएगी. So that is the focus of the parents. So if the institutions are under this kind of pressure, they will definitely behave like that. If you can go down to organizing some symposium for the parents as well, the whole thing starts from there. And then another thing, industry, and I've written a book for the benefit of the management students, My Journey Beyond MBA, and I did my research while I was working. I did my research, about the gap between what the management institutes are, the inputs the management institutes are giving, and the skills, employability skills which the industry is expecting. And I interviewed more than 50 people from industry. Everybody wants the students to come and hit the ground running. That cannot happen, that will not happen. Because certain things, when you actually do, those skills you will acquire then only. If there's a company having foundry and they have to hire engineers for foundry or for a furnace, those are the very difficult typical areas. Unless you put them there, engineers, they will not learn. However theoretical inputs or for summer training or small projects, they will not learn. Sir, you would know TISCO is having a simulated lab. Worker, supervisor, engineer, whosoever is appointed new, they have to go through in that furnace and those typical areas for 2-3 months in that simulated lab situation. Then only they are sent on the shop floor. So other companies are also, some other companies are also having those things. So if you have to run a furnace, or you have to run a foundry, or you are in those kind of boilers, turbines, if those kind of situations you are going to run, practical skill you will acquire only when you are on the job. So industry also has to have patience. They have to allow youngsters for a few months of orientation time and pick up the practical skills. There's no hurry. Everybody can't be, young students cannot hit the ground running. The industry managers cannot shy away from their responsibilities of mentoring and grooming the young talents. They have to groom practically. They cannot. Another thing is, lots of opportunities are there for the industry to test, groom, see, nurture the talent which they shy away. Summer training, fantastic opportunity. In industry there is a lot of work. There is some work which cannot wait, and there are projects, there is work which can wait for a couple of months when it's time for the summer placements. Engineers are coming to you, management graduates are coming to you. Assign those real life projects and make use of that. When people come to industry for summer training, none of the managers spends time with them. Somehow they feel they're very busy. Prime Minister is also busy. If we do our time management properly and our priorities are right, we think properly, we can live a stress-free life, we can work with calm, composure, peace, and we can manage things. It is possible. It's our mindset. We create unnecessary tension for ourselves and for the others. How to live tension-free life, So the managers don't spend time with these youngsters. Spend time with them. They will do a lot of good work for them. You will know which institution is providing good services, good kind of education, and good products are available, and then go for the placement there only. Thank you, friends. These were my views about, solutions.
Thanks a lot, ma'am, for such key insights.